is Mark Rambo, and I'm the president of the Sturgis and Meade County Historical Society. At this time, to kick things off, I'd like to invite up Kay Mars, Miss Rodeo, South Dakota. She's a local from Whitewood, and she's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is directly behind you here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Kay. The rebuilding of the Nolin Monument has been progressing for nearly 3 years, and we wouldn't be here today without the dedicated work of the Nolin Monument Committee and a variety of donors and sponsors. Let's give everybody involved a round of applause. All right, at this time, I'd like to introduce the mayor of Sturgis. Mark Karstensen was born in Sioux Falls and moved to Sturgis as an infant. He is a graduate of Sturgis Brown High School and the University of Wyoming. He's married to Heidi Hoffman, and they currently have 2 children with a third due in November. Mark has been mayor since 2011, following a time on the city council. Please join me in welcoming Mayor Karstensen.
Thank you, Mark. And I guess I'd like to echo Mark just with thank you for what it took to get this done. It's a lot of people's energies and volunteers and work, so we appreciate that and echo the response. So to start out, I want to read an article that was written in 1939. It's Pioneer Days in the Black Hills. This is about where we're standing right now. It's about the Charles Nolin and the monument. For over half a century, the place where Charles Nolin met his death was marked only by a pile of boulders, erected by those who had knowledge of the tragedy. Then the Society of Black Hills Pioneers and Citizens of Sturgis sponsored a movement for erection of a monument near the spot. This is constructed of various ornamental rocks gathered from various sources in the hills. It was dedicated by the Black Hills Pioneers on Memorial Day, May 30th, 1932, with impressive ceremonies. Several thousand people from all parts of the Black Hills were being present. One of the most impressive Memorial Day exercises ever held in Sturgis took place last Monday. This is a second article. This is by the Black Hills Press, June 2nd, 1932. One of the most impressive Memorial Day exercises ever held in Sturgis took place on Monday. The day was ideal for the purpose, bright and balmy with a very slight breeze passing over the valley. The recent rains brightened the whole landscape, and bright new leaves, luxuriant grass, and flowers made a bountiful setting for the occasion. The parade of veterans, Boy Scouts, National Guard was led by Fort Meade Military Band, and a troop of cavalry sent a martial air to the procession that passed through the streets and the site of the monument. A delegation of Indians from the Sioux tribes were also present to add to the interest of the event. The exercises of the day included the dedication of the monument recently erected to the memory of Charles Nolin, pony carrier who was killed by the Indians on the banks of the Dead Man Creek south of Sturgis. At the hour of 2 o'clock, an enormous crowd had gathered at the site of the tragedy. The lines of autos stretched along each side of the public highway for a half mile, while hundreds of other autos were parked on the eastern side of the road in vacant lots. It is estimated that over 4,000 people from all parts of the hills had assembled to witness this dedication. A platform had been erected around one of the oak trees near where Nolin had been buried, and on this there were seated officers of the Black Hills Pioneers and members from the hills, as well as the people taking part in the program. The first part of the program was the unveiling of the monument by Miss Cornelia O'Brien and Jesse Brown, pioneers closely associated with the tragedy of 1876. Moving pictures of this event were taken by the Fox News Film Corporation, while Mayor Atwater, as chairman of the meeting, welcomed the Pioneer Society President P.A. Gushart of Lead City, responded on behalf of the pioneers and expressed his appreciation for the splendid work done by the people of Sturgis in erecting the monument. Reverend Schrank of the Methodist Church gave the invocation. Reverend Subby of the Lutheran Church sang the solo of the recessional. Reverend Erskine of the Presbyterian Church recited Lincoln's Gettysburg Address and gave the benediction. George Tarrant, as commander of the Meade Post of the American Legion, read the Ritual of the Order of the Veterans, and John T. Milik gave the dedication memorial address. Music was furnished by the splendid Fort Meade Military Band, and most pleasing and interesting event was brought to close within 1 hour of starting. From the monument, the procession marched to the 2 cemeteries and completed the exercise, just in time to escape the downpour of rain and hail that had been threatened all afternoon. It was most fortunate situation for one of the heaviest rains of the season, drenched the whole country. So I like this article a lot, and I think it makes a lot of sense to Sturgis today. What it is partnerships amongst the community, getting things done that make sense, remembering our history, and working together to achieve our goals. So another thing I liked about this article is the fact that in 1932, 4,000 plus people were here at the same spot gathering. Sturgis has a history of people gathering, and we continue that today. So I'll turn it back over to Mr. Rambo, and I thank you guys for being part of this.
Thank you, Mark. As the mayor mentioned, the Nolin Monument was originally proposed by the community of Sturgis and members of the Society of Black Hills Pioneers. As the society built and dedicated the original monument, we contacted them immediately upon hearing that there were changes planned for this location. Clint Jolly is the treasurer of the Society of Black Hills Pioneers and represented the organization on the monument committee. Clint is a Sturgis native and great-grandson of two Black Hills pioneers, Miles Cooper, who came to Deadwood in 1877, and William Waldman, who arrived in Sturgis in 1883. He was the publisher of the Sturgis Weekly Record until 1946. Clint was owner of the F.O. Jolly Funeral Home, and along with his brother Marty, published the book Early Day History of Sturgis and Fort Meade, which was compiled by their grandfather, Charlie Waldman. Please help me in welcoming Clint Jolly.
Thank you, Mark. I'm impressed. Actually, I'm not the president of the Society of Black Hills Pioneers. Ann Thompson over there is. I'm the treasurer. And the society started in 1889 and currently has about 400 members who are all descendants of those that came to the Black Hills prior to the Great Deadwood Fire in September of 1879. And like he said, my great-grandfather, Miles Cooper, came to Deadwood in May of 1877 with a load of freight and stayed. So for members of our family who belonged to this society for generations, and Seth Bullock was one of the early presidents. This monument was built by the society in 1932 and was one of several built by the society, including the Preacher Smith Monument in Meade, or in Deadwood rather, the Annie Talent Monument in Custer, and the Friendship Shower built on Mount Roosevelt near Deadwood, and that was promoted by Seth Bullock. Currently, the society has focused on restoring and maintaining pioneer cemeteries. And I grew up and lived in Sturgis till 1992, but I didn't know much about this monument other than it was on this corner and you went by it all the time. But since then, I've become a bit of an authority. I know a lot about this monument. And in doing some of my research, I found out that in the original pictures from the dedication of this monument, I'm only 39, but I knew a lot of those people. So this monument is really important to Sturgis, a lot more than I ever realized growing up. And this project started with an article in the Rapid City Journal, which said they intended to move this monument. Well, the Society of Black Hills Pioneers didn't see it that way, and their reaction was they asked me to be the representative and look into the matter and see what could be done about it. So after writing a bunch of letters, the issue came to the forefront, and Ross Lamphere asked me to serve on the committee and represent the society, which I did. And this is the result right here. The society is pleased that the committee recognized the importance of the monument and saved and improved it. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Clint. Charles Nolin was a contract mail carrier and was on his last mail delivery to Deadwood from Sidney, Nebraska, having promised his mother he would quit the dangerous job after this trip. Nolin was ambushed and killed on this spot August 19, 1876. At this time, we'd like to bring in our mounted mail carrier, Max Thompson, who will be symbolically completing the ride of Nolin and deliver the commemorative postcards to the Sturgis Post Office.
Oh, I might be short, but I ain't that short.
Thank you, Max. The rebuilding of the monument began with the decision of Regional Health to expand their footprint on this location and add the beautiful new clinic you see behind you to the existing hospital. The cooperation of Regional Health and leadership of Mark Schulte has been essential in our being here today. I would like to welcome the President of Regional Health Sturgis Market and a member of the Monument Committee, Mark Schulte.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Schulte, and I have the privilege to serve as the Market President for Regional Health, Sturgis Hospital and Clinic. I am not a native of Sturgis, unlike many of those behind me, but coming to town 4 years ago, I had this instant curiosity of the rock sculpture on our hospital campus. It was extremely evident that that monument needed a major overhaul. As our clinic and hospital shared campus idea came into fruition, the opportunity to repair the Nolin Monument arose. Although the monument would soon sit on property that is owned and maintained by Regional Health, the monument belongs to the citizens of Sturgis. That said, I identified the need for a committee to help revitalize the Nolin Monument. I believe my first call was to Mr. Ross Lamphere, who I've learned to know that he has a problem with saying no. So thank you, Ross. My second call was to Dean Kinney. Dean couldn't be with us here today, but he is definitely a guy who's noted to get things done. Soon after, our committee was formed, with the only thing that they got out of us is lunch each time they met. A key component to the revitalization of the monument was the need to better tell the story of why it was here. As an individual not from Sturgis, I wanted to learn more about what Nolin Monument meant to our community. The kiosks that are standing behind here today will help newcomers like myself understand the meaning of the monument and how it shaped the event of how this event shaped our community. The committee worked hard to make sure to tell the story without biased and preconceived notions. I would encourage all of you to please take time to read those. To my knowledge, we are one of the only healthcare campuses in the region to have a recognized historical monument on its campus. This will be a great learning opportunity for our patients and their friends and family and our visitors, and something that we can all be proud of. I would be remorseful if I didn't mention those involved in this endeavor. The Regional Health construction team took it upon themselves to make this revitalization work a part of this overall project. In particular, I want to recognize Ainsworth Benning Construction, and Rupert's here was very supportive of this effort. All of them made sure that what you see today is something we can all be proud of. I'm thankful that Mark and the City of Sturgis, the Meade County Historical Society, entrusted us to make this dream become a reality. When I look at this monument as I drive by it each and every day, I see the product of teams coming together to address a need in our community. When I look at the building behind you, our beautiful new clinic that consolidates all of our services onto one campus, I see that same thing. Regional Health and all of you came together to make this a reality. We are doing great things in this community, and these projects have confirmed that. So thank you all for coming today.
Thank you, Mark. It's easy. I just have to remember the name Mark today. So, well, today would not be possible without the many community partners involved in the effort to rebuild the monument. The support and participation of Black Hills Energy was substantial. Sturgis native Ken Myros is the operations manager for Black Hills Energy in the northern and southern hills. Ken started his career in electric utilities while in the Marines and has been with Black Hills Energy for 21 years. Ken lives in Sturgis with his wife Jill, where they have raised two daughters, Leah and Catherine. Please welcome Ken Myros.
Well, thank you, Mark. For me, this was kind of a neat deal. Terry Herman approached me about trying to help out and be part of the partnership of this, and we've all heard the word partnership a lot today. Partnership is one of our main values in Black Hills Energy, and when Terry approached me, it was just a no-brainer. I'm like many of you, we're born here. In fact, I was born right over there, and driving by it, and it was in tough shape. And now it's nothing short of outstanding how great this looks, and how important this is to our community and the upkeep of our history. Black Hills Energy has a long history. 1883 was our first customer up in Deadwood. And so we would like to continue to be a partner in these type of projects. And once again, thank you for giving us the opportunity to be a partner in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. It wouldn't be an understatement to say that today would not be possible without the generous support of the Deadwood Historic Preservation Commission. I would like to recognize Kevin Kuchenbecker, Preservation Officer of the Commission. Is Kevin here? No? Okay. But representing Deadwood and the Outside of Deadwood Grants Program is Chuck Turbeville. Chuck is the mayor of Deadwood, and he's also a District 31 state representative. Please welcome Chuck Turbeville.
All right, thank you. Well, thank you all for coming today. 30-some years ago, when the state of South Dakota and the people of South Dakota decided to allow Deadwood to have gaming, part of the reason for that was to reestablish and make sure that we maintain the historic atmosphere of the city of Deadwood. Shortly after gaming started, it was determined that we needed to do something for the entire state of South Dakota. And so at that time, we established the Outside of Deadwood Grants Program. What that is that any project, regardless of what it is, if it has a relationship to Deadwood, even though there might be just a minor relationship to Deadwood, they can apply to the city for grants to maintain or reestablish or do whatever it takes for projects like this monument. There are buildings that we've worked with and what have you. So when we got the application for the Nolin Monument, being that Sturgis is this close to Deadwood and has a lot of association with Deadwood, we looked at that and said, this is an excellent project, and we need to do whatever it is that it takes to make sure that the renovation of this monument is complete. So without any hassle or problems, the city of Deadwood, through Historic Preservation, approved a $25,000 grant for the purpose of working on the monument. This is probably one of the best grants that we've had for a long time, because you're a sister community with us. Not only that, Red Nolin was on his way to Deadwood with the mail when he was killed, so it's a natural for us. So we are very happy to have been able to participate. We will continue to look at efforts such as this throughout the state of South Dakota, and especially locally. And once again, everyone, thank you for coming here today. We really appreciate it. Have a safe trip home. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Turbeville. Ross Lamsphere has served as the chairman of the Nolin Revitalization Committee. And Ross is a lifelong resident of Sturgis and Meade County and has been active in many community organizations. Ross represents the Sturgis and Meade County Historical Society and the Regional Health Network Board of Directors on this committee. Please welcome Ross Lamsphere.
Thank you, Mark. Well, and thank you for being here. What a beautiful afternoon. At least it wasn't yesterday. So, and hopefully the rain will hold off and the weekend festivities will continue on as planned. 1876 was a very tumultuous year on the Northern Plains called Dakota Territory. Just one of the many stories of that time are what we are here today dedicating. A young man named Charles Red Nolin was carrying the mail to Deadwood City when he meets members of the Schofield freighting outfit camped along Alkali Creek just south of our location. Nolin was invited to spend the night, with them, but had promised his mother that this was his last run, and being accustomed to traveling alone and at night, continued on towards Deadwood City. The next day, the freight outfit found Nolin's body in this location, buried him where he remained until 1889, when his body was reinterred to Bear Butte Cemetery. In 1932, the first Nolin Monument was erected with support of community members in the Society of Black Hills Pioneers. So what makes this small event important to remember? What makes this important to understand? These were just some of the questions our committee tried to understand and bring to life for you. This site now contains more than just the monument to Nolin, but hopefully brings to life the bigger story that is taught by history. We have added 5 panels or kiosks, and each deal with a part of the story of why that 1876 was such a tumultuous year. We invite you to read each carefully to better understand the relationship of our Native American friends and the early settlers in this area and beyond. A time capsule will be added after today's dedication. Janice Lundgren and Bill McKee have worked long and hard to try to include items and stories that will be read and seen someday in the future. Many of these items will be listed, and that list will be available at the City Auditorium at the reception immediately following this event. Additional ideas are always welcome, although I think Janice is probably done. Before we officially dedicate the monument, I wish to thank all the sponsors. Now, I did have a long list of those, but considering you've been standing for long enough, I'm not going to read all of them, and I'd forget some of them anyway. But we've had numerous sponsors that all made this project possible, including not only the ones you've heard speak here today, but all those who contributed their time, talents, and dollars to this project. I also want to thank and introduce our committee, who they represented, and I would ask them to please come forward when they're introduced. And after working for 2.5 years, I'd have to say this has been the best group I've ever had the privilege to work with. Representing the Society of Black Hills Pioneers, of course, Clint Jolly. A valued committee member, Terry Herman, along with Dean Kinney, who's unable to be here. Please come on up, Terry. Representing the City of Sturgis Park Board, Bill McKee. Representing the Sturgis Regional Hospital Advisory Board and Sturgis Meade County Historical Society, Janice Lundgren. Regional Health Market President, Mark Schulte. Representing the Fort Meade Museum, Lee Stroshine. And representing the Sturgis Meade County Historical Society and Regional Health Network Board, myself, Ross Lamphere. Let's give all these committee members a big round. I guess you're not painting a picture, you're just taking a picture. All right. No, you cannot leave. You cannot leave. We're going to have a sort of kind of ribbon cutting, so if everybody would stand up here and just. I'll get in here. Okay. Today we dedicate this monument to the memory of our ancestors, and that through understanding of our history, not forgetting it, we will all be better for it. Go ahead.
All right, thank you, Ross. And I'd like all the committee members to stay up here for a moment, as much as you don't want to and want to leave. I have a couple of items I wanted to take care of before we close. Sorry, this wind is kind of blowing my stuff around. Apologize. Could you grab that first one there? The fine preservation work of this committee has been recognized last month by the South Dakota State Historical Society, and they were awarded the Organization Award. You're all welcome to come and look at this at the reception downtown too. The 2018 Governor's Awards for History Organization Award to the Charles Nolin Monument Restoration Committee. So congratulations. In addition, every year, this is our 4th year that we're doing History Day, and as the Historical Society, we have an award that recognizes one of the founders of our organization, Martin C. Beig, and we award an award for Friend of History every year. And this year, we're proud to award this to the Nolin Monument Restoration and Revitalization Committee, the Martin C. Beig Friend of History Award. Congratulations. All right, and so with that, I think we're to the end of our program. I'd want to thank everybody for coming. We do have other activities going on. We'd like to encourage everybody to come down to the City Auditorium, the corner of Junction and Main. We have a reception planned for there. It'll be going till 6:30 tonight. There'll be hors d'oeuvres, a cash bar. We have a lot of history booths set up that you can kind of wander around and see. It should be a lot of fun. At 6:30 then is the end of that, but we are also at 7 o'clock going to have Sergeant Puregood's Traveling Medicine Show will be performed in the City Auditorium as well. So we encourage everybody to come down, join in those activities. Tomorrow is History Day. We'll have a series of other activities tomorrow. So we encourage you to come back and enjoy everything. Thank you very much.